Hey everyone, welcome back to the Austin Lindsay channel. Today I'm talking about the differences and similarities between the Boling P1 and the Insstro C1 RGB lights. They both come with a 1/4-20 cold shoe mount. They both come with a USB-A to USB-C charging cable, and they both come with their own style of carrying case. They both claim 2 hours of run time at full power, and design-wise and build, they're very similar. They're both similar in size, they're both similar in weight, and they're made from aluminum. They have a distinct color kind of reference bar on the back, and they both have LED screens on the back as well. Internally, they both have CCT, HSI, and scene modes, and that's pretty much where the similarities end. One of the biggest differences is the P1's articulating arm here. It's a cleverly designed arm that rotates and twists about, with multiple 1/4-20 thread inserts on it. The C1 has 2 1/4-20 thread inserts, one's on the bottom and one is on the side. They both have frosted plastic front LEDs on them, and the P1 has just a little bit more frosting on it than the C1 does. Functionality wise, the P1 has a variety of switches and knobs and dials, whereas the C1 only has 4 buttons to control the light. Operating the P1, there's a dedicated on and off switch at the top, and then there's on the side a little switch that cycles you through the modes. Down from there, there's a function jogger wheel switch that when pressed will change the parameter in which selected mode you're in, and then the rocker will increase or decrease the selected parameter of what you're on. And then down from the bottom, there's a dimmer switch that always controls the brightness in any light mode. Operating the C1, the first button on the side is the mode/on and off button. Holding it down will turn it on and turn it off, while pressing it normally will cycle you through the modes. Down from that is a switch with a gear on it, and this will cycle you through the parameters of the selected mode. Down from that is the plus button, and at the very bottom is the minus button, and the plus or minus buttons will decrease or increase the selected parameter. And this includes the brightness, since the C1 doesn't have its own dedicated dimmer dial. The P1 has 3 modes, CCT, HSI, and scene modes, while the C1 has 4 modes, CCT, HSI, scene, and it also includes a 4th RGB mode. So covering the first 3 modes, since they're the same on both lights. The CCT mode will allow you to change the color temperature from 25K all the way up to 85K in 100K increments. The HSI mode will allow you to select a custom hue, saturation, and intensity, which is where the reference bar on the back of the light comes in handy. I will mention that the chart on the P1 goes from 0 to 360, and the chart on the C1 goes from 0 to 1530. I don't know if the C1 has more levels of color or if it's just an arbitrary number they picked, but I'll try to do more testing to find out. The last similar mode is the scene modes. So they both share 2 lightning scenes and a cinema mode, which are basically a flickering of white light at varying intensities and varying intervals. They both have a fast and a slow RGB, which is a cycling of the RGB spectrum. They have a candle/fireplace scene, which is a slow flickering of warm light. They also both have police, ambulance, and a fire truck scene. The C1's ambulance scene is only a blinking of blue light, whereas the P1's ambulance scene is a blinking of blue and white light. And on the fire truck, the C1 is a blinking of just red light, where the P1 is a blinking of red and kind of orangish light. So in my opinion, the two on the P1 are just a little bit more realistic. So the 4th mode can only be found on the C1, where that's an RGB mode where you can dial in red, green, or blue channels from 0 to 255 to accurately dial in a specific RGB code, which I find really handy. The P1 advertises a CRI of 96 and a TLCI of 97, whereas the C1 is a CRI of 95 and a TLCI of 97. So the C1, to my eyes, looks a little bit greener when on the same setting and compared to the P1. So that's maybe where the 1 point of CRI makes a difference. The last thing I want to note is the fade from on to off. The P1 has a little bit smoother fade. From 0 to 1 on the C1 is like going from 0 to 8 on the P1. So it feels like the C1 kind of cut out 7 increments of brightness on their light. Not a deal breaker, but something to take note of. At the time of this recording, the P1 is around 160 US dollars, whereas the C1 is around 80. So for my final thoughts, they're both fantastic lights, and neither one is better or worse than the other. It just kind of depends on what you want. If you need color accuracy, some preciseness, and a little bit of realism, then the P1 is a good one to go with. If you need to save some money, or if you like the added 4th RGB mode, then the C1 is a great choice on its own. Hopefully you found this helpful. Consider sharing this video with another photographer or videographer friend. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments field. I'll do my best to answer them, and thanks everyone for watching.